I understand you just got back from a silent retreat for
Mhm.
10 days. I've been wanting to do a silent retreat. I don't know if I'm ready for 10 days personally, but I'm really curious your takeaways, some of the challenges you faced. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for having me and opening space to talk about stillness and the meaning of silence as a practitioner and someone that has been intentionally going into silence. You think that you might be ready to experience what this is, right? And when I got there, I could remember seeing everyone like so expecting things or curious. And I really try to put myself in a place of neutrality when I deliver my phone and my books. It was like, okay, I just feel that I've been preparing myself to do this, right? But it's a complete explosive transformational experience. And it's funny because you believe, especially when you practice somatic therapy or you teach or you are a somatic coach or you do embodiment or you practice like different things that are related with like meditation and pranayama and breath work, and which are a combination of all the things that I do in the different things I work, you're close to what you're going to do in a silent retreat. The truth is that no one is really prepared for what you experience when you practice Vipassana. One thing is having the idea of what awareness is, another thing is sensing full awareness. My favorite thing about this retreat, and one of the takeaways, was to be aware is to be present. How do you feel presence in your body from a place of neutrality and curiosity without giving too many stories or meaning or ideas of what you're experiencing? And I think that was the most incredible thing that I got from it.
Have you done silent retreats before?
Never in my life. It's funny because I'm like I love talking and I love engaging. And when you're a coach and I also like host events and I'm a performer. So it's for me, it's just been everything about letting things out. And I thought it was going to be challenging, but I had the seed inside of want and deep stillness and silence. Here, I didn't have to engage with anyone. You're not mean or rude for not engaging. It's expected and wanted. So the technique actually works. I never imagined I would be getting myself into something like this, but yeah, I will do it 1,000 times again if I could. They have
Wow.
10 days,
Good.
20 days, and 30 days. I just did the 10 days, but there's people that do like 45 days of silence. Yeah.
Wow. So the 10 days was the shorter. I was like, good for you at jumping into 10 days. That's already quite a bit. And what were some of the challenges, especially as your first time? I imagine it might have been hard to get into the first couple of days. Or what was your experience like? Do you recall the entire process of those 10 days?
Yeah, it's a total hero journey. Every day and every part of the journey, it's meant to go deeper into the realms of your subconscious mind, which is where memories and stories and even trauma, which is I love clarifying the word trauma because trauma is a story in Greek. I love going to the root of the words, that's what it means. But we have objectified it and put it like another meaning when it's just a fact that happened to us. And these 10 days is a journey into the fact, into the idea, into the truth as it is. That for some people might be considered, I'm like, no, that's my trauma. And then the journey was like just getting into like ride that wave up. But if you tell me like what were my biggest challenges, so I'm not vegan, right? I'm not vegan or vegetarian. All the food was vegan and vegetarian. You will wake up at 4 a.m., meditate for 4 a.m. to 6:30, go and eat. It was like oatmeal, prune juice, and cereal. Then go for a walk in the little forest they have. Take lunch at 11, go on a break, meditate for 2 more hours with another group, go for another break. You don't have dinner, you just eat a fruit and a tea, then go back to meditate. And then you go to bed at 9. And every day you do the same, right? And you think every day is going to be the same, even if the first 3 days is just about observing your respiration. You literally sit down and you're like, how I'm supposed to observe my respiration? And then that's when you start understanding that a lot of the things you think about you are an illusion, in the way that what is so hard for me to even observe my own respiration. Like I'm just breathing, especially me as a breathwork or a somatic practitioner, that I tell people, okay, now take a deep breath in instead of people naturally breathing calmly. So then everything starts activating the way you feel things in your body and the way you can let yourself breathe into that when you feel anxious, right? The first thing that changes when you feel happy, when you feel angry, when you feel anxious, when you feel excited is your breath. But we barely notice that. The thing that I learned, and also the biggest challenge, which is like, let everything you know by the door and come here as a new student that has no idea, has never done breath work or pranayama or meditation. That was the biggest challenge. Like, leave the story of who I think I was behind so I can really dive into the experience of Vipassana. Yeah.
Um, and now you're back in New York.
I'm back
So
in New
that's
York.
that's quite the contrast. So how are you dealing with that transition? And also, what are you taking with you from the retreat and trying to implement maybe into your life or into your coaching?
It's funny because, like, coming back to the city, especially in this time of the year, like seasonal depression, everyone is like, it's the time that I'm going to get into depression. And then we have this concept of like depressing as something that is inherent, understanding that as summer comes, as spring comes, we have to prepare our bodies to full stillness and slowness and hibernation. Life feels a little bit less hectic if you can just observe. And I think, like, coming back to the retreat is like, okay, great. You felt safe for 10 days in a little capsule, but this is not the reality. Right. And I think the biggest takeaway that I got from it was I need to find groundingness and stillness is something that is just not outside of my body. And just coming back here and like walking slower, moving slower, talking slower, and also like, the technique, this is a technique that you just don't go a retreat and learn and don't do anymore. For Vipassana to really be effective, you have to practice 2 hours of meditation every day. I've been waking up every day at 4 a.m. meditating before getting out for that transition not to be really shocking to my body. And it's, of course, it's always like, it goes in ebbs and flow, but this is my reality as it is. So now I just have another technique that can allow me to navigate this reality without feeling too overwhelmed.
What would you suggest to someone who feels a lot of chaos in their life or a hectic period, like who can't get up? Maybe they have kids, or there's for whatever reason can't get up that early, can't meditate for 2 hours. What are some smaller steps towards having more clarity and balance in your life?
I think the most important part is discipline. For example, I'm sacrificing 1 hour of sleep to meditate. Maybe I'm not hanging with that friend that day because I'm committed to develop this technique because of the benefit that it's going to bring to me, which at the end will be more capacity because you're really just sitting down, bringing all your brain into functioning through your whole body, and you're regenerating your molecular and cellular ecosystem by eliminating trauma and neutralizing what you feel. I think there's no right or wrong or advice. I am a morning person. I've never had problems with waking up early, but the way you feel, and going back to the word sensation, it's like my clients and I ask the people that I work with, how do you want to feel after the commitment? The reality of having discipline in your life. And of course, maybe you cannot meditate 2 hours a day. There are days that I meditate just one because I can't. But the truth is, like, having the intentional adaptability, being intentionally adaptable into what you can do with spaces that will ultimately bring clarity into your life and will align, move towards how you actually want to feel. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way of doing it. It's a way of doing it and is inherently different to your lifestyle and where you are in life. I never like to be like, oh, I will recommend you cut this and cut that, but it's just more like what does discipline means to you? and how do you want to feel? I think those are the two questions that I will ask someone. If they're like, well, but I'm too busy, I don't really have time, or just don't go to that party, wake up a little bit earlier, work out 30 minutes instead of 2 hours in the gym, and then use the 2 hours that you used to 1 hour meditating, 1 hour in the gym. It depends of like how you want to feel and how important this process is for you.
I think that's really important to tailor it to yourself and what you can do. For you, is the 2 hours something you found that really balances you the best? Is that the sweet spot for you?
Yeah, well, I haven't been able to meditate for 2 hours since I came back. I've just done the mornings because I was also moving and everything. So, like I told you, my goal was to meditate 2 hours a day. If not, it's not going to work. Right. And now it's like, this is my reality. These are the projects that are going on. And this is what I can actually do, which still feels like advancing. Like, ideally, in a future, I'm going to be able to do it, but I don't patronize myself because I'm not able to do that right now. So it's like, how much intentional adaptability can you have towards the practices that you do for yourself so they don't become your own jail?
When it comes to your coaching, do you work on meditation with clients? What do you focus on?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's funny to explain because I started from the background of yoga and pranayama, which is the type of breathing that you do in yoga. And there's like a bunch of like pranayama techniques. And then studied like the science behind quantum physics related to manifestation and visualization and how that actually works. And then it was like, okay, and then this is not enough for me. I just want more. And of course, myself practicing different types of things. I got into somatic therapy like 2 to 3 years ago. And somatic therapy was also as a performer, something that completely changed the way I perceive the world because it's really understanding how your body has a language and how your body keeps the score of the things that happen to you. And then I got into sound healing also 2 years ago. So for me, it was like, I want to coach people in a way that they understand that the pain and the trauma is something that you can partially conceptualize and you can have a concept of what healing means. But if you don't embody the stories that are within your body and move them in a way that you can rewrite the narrative, your brain connects and sends signals to your nervous system, is going to be really different for you to have a sustainable change during time. So my coaching, it's just like based of like embodiment. And embodiment is a technique that it's been like out for thousands and thousands of years that passes through the principles of like yoga, tai chi, reiki, qigong, and energy itself, but just with a lot of like science, been studying neuroscience and how movement connects and can help people to rewrite the narrative of the stories in the body. So I'm a somatic practitioner because I have a somatic experiencing certification that I'm about to finish. My technique implements principles of sound healing, movement, and breath work. Meditation, I think, is something that, and now especially after this experience, people should develop by themselves. Sometimes we have an idea of what meditation is, but meditation is a completely different realm. And the big takeaway that I got from Vipassana is like, meditation is a solo path. Ultimately, no matter what I do and navigate with you, you are the only one that knows what's going on in your brain. I can learn signals, learn what's happening to the organs and how the body works. But ultimately, meditation is like, and this is how I see it, you need different things and to develop different things at the same time. Normally, people start with the head, right? I'm just going to go to therapy. I know there's a problem and I'm just going to go to therapy. Some people say, I feel numb in my body and I don't feel confident, and they go to somatic. Or some people is like, I just need to elevate my vibration, and they do sound healing. So if you ask me what I do, it's related to finding what limiting beliefs are rooted in your body and in what part of your nervous system is holding that, and then navigating energetically with vibration those experiences so you can rewrite a narrative. So basically, it was like an embodiment somatic coach or practitioner that I do.
Cool. And so for people who don't know about somatic therapy, somatic healing, what would be the difference that you would see from somatic versus meditation, per se?
Yeah, well, somatic therapy is a goal oriented therapeutic process focusing on healing trauma and stress by using your body's wisdom. The concept of embodiment is like what is in your body and how can we talk with your body. The word in Greek is body. So it's the language and the understanding of the body, while meditation is more about the mind, right? Meditation is mind, one type of meditation, for example, and it said itself, it's mindfulness. It's like, oh, in my mind is the answer and everything. I can control it here. And then just like different ways of healing that have different languages, but ultimately are connected. So they are different, but they're also complementary. And this is what I always like to tell people. Meditation is more about stillness and observation. Observe your respiration, observe what's going on, and scan your body, right? Your mind does most of things, while somatic allows your body to be part of the equation. If I move my sadness like this, or if I'm angry and my body contracts and I feel the anxiety here, then I can tell my brain, observing my respiration, that I am anxious, right? And then accepting that. So that's the difference. When Peter Levine, doctor that started this whole movement around somatic, started, I just always remember he had an interview on a podcast and someone asked him that is the first time that they're listening to somatic thing. And, they just have done like meditation of like regular therapy. And he said, like, you cannot give a practical solution to something that is systemic. Your body is full of systems that interact all the time differently. Sometimes it's about how the body talks to your brain and not how the brain talks to the body. So that's what I will say. It's a full different language, but it's complementary. I will never say people, and this is what I tell my clients. Like, I like to work with people. It's not exclusively like this, but it's so much powerful and ethically correct for me to work with people that have done meditation or therapy before. And then I have an idea what healing means, that working with someone that has done any type of therapy or meditation. And what would I recommend?
Oh, yeah, I think that's a great way to wrap things up. Is it, we're trying to put band-aids. We're used to Amazon, we're used to fast food, especially in
Yep.
the US.
Or
So,
appeal.
yeah.
Appeal, right?
Hmm.
Oh, I have a pain, then take a pill. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing that for me happened with regular therapy, with meditation, when this retreat and somatic, is like there is a sensation that comes and goes, but are you able to observe why are you having that pain instead of reacting to it and solve it with a pill? So you're not training your brain or your body to actually sense
Mm-hmm.
what's going on from a place of real awareness. It's dangerous because I think that's what's happening culturally. Fashion. I don't even like fashion right now. And like this whole wave of holistic healers. I don't even like to call myself a healer because I think I'm just a channel with the right tools and the right education that it's going to connect with people that need this work. But ultimately, you have to understand that every pain on a somatic mental level might go away unless you really have a problem and need to go to the doctor. Most of sicknesses are psychosomatic based. That's also something that now is more like being more proven and like shown and showcased by like, scientifics and science papers. So yeah, I think just sitting down with pain and really understanding, oh, I'm not having a headache because it's a random day. I'm having a headache because I'm really burned out. I hate my life and I'm miserable. Right. And it's like, oh, a pill is going to solve your headache today, but tomorrow you're going to wake up and might have another headache and you're going to still feel miserable, living in a situation that you hate. And it's more of like, what are you willing to do to make that pain okay as you take decisions to build a different life?
What do you think we're doing to ourselves as a society and as individuals by looking for these quick fixes and creating a barrier between us and nature and going outside and going against our circadian rhythms?
That's a very important question. When I was walking, it's just so funny because every day I wake up, I'm lucky enough to have a cemetery where I live. It's a huge cemetery. And in the city, it's very hard to find silence. But that's my favorite place in the world. There's no one there. And it's the only place in the city when you can find silence. For the last 3-4 months, I've been walking an hour and a half in silence with death every day and wonder when I look at the squirrel or the dog walking or just people I don't even know if they're still there. You realize that we are creating so many problems that take us apart from existing in this world because we're afraid of things like that or getting hurt by relationships or we're just like so worried about like getting fired, a job that is just like completely devastating to our soul. And, we just live in a world that if you study the mycelium and the trees underneath, like you kind of like realize that the trees has to communicate in order to grow in a forest. And some of them survive and some others don't. But that's the cycle of life. And we're so attached to things that are not even ours because we're living and embodying other person's stories. I think that's the main thing that is happening in the world. Like, what story are you living in? And what story are you ready to step out to actually fall into a place of like, I always tell people the best thing that can happen to you is uncertainty and not knowing. The best thing that can happen to you.
Why is that?
Because there's nothing that you can get attached to. You're just open and curious, and you can die with a smile on your face if you have to die right now. And that took me years. A lot of people ask everyone, like, are you afraid of dying? Die now. And we're just like so attached to the stories, and nature doesn't stop. When the tree falls, it will serve as the house for mushrooms to grow, for flowers to grow. I'm sorry, I lost my connection for a second.
You're at like it was such a deep moment.
It's okay, I can go back.
I was like, wow, I need to go for a walk after this. I need to catch a flower.
Yeah. And what I was telling you is you asked me, what do you think it's just happening? And I just remember when I was in this retreat, there was like a trunk of a tree that fell down. And, instead of like me feeling like sad, if I were nature, if I was this tree that didn't survive and I fall into the ground, and I realized that that tree became the house for mushroom to grow. And there was this little rock on top of the tree. And underneath that rock was this little leaf that surrounded that stone. I was like, if this tree was not here, and if this rock was not in this position, that this leaf will have never found a way of growing in hardship. So I think the biggest thing for me is understanding that your full ecosystem with cycles, and you have to embody each one of those cycles. You have to understand that pain is unavoidable and it's delicious as it is because it exists. And it's not about having that pain, it's about what you build from that pain. How you let flowers grow once it's, snow passed. But also, like when it's winter and everything is cold, what are the plants and creatures that survive the cold? The ones that are more adaptable. The world needs more intentional adaptability to pain and death and heartbreak and humanity. Every time a heart breaks, for me, it's an opportunity to make it a little bit bigger, a little bit wiser. What a boring life would it be if all our hearts would look the same, so we'll have the same scars? What a boring world to be. Like, we're so attached to be the same. to look the same, to think the same, to feel the environment the same. The way I feel the tree is completely different to the way you feel a tree. And that's perfectly yours. I think the more we're able to really embody how we see the world and how we want to exist in this world, knowing that we can die anytime, that someone can break our heart, that we might not get that job opportunity. For me, all my life, it's just been as an immigrant. And I'm currently a political asylum in this country. So I'm not able to like travel out. It's just completely been around patience and like stillness and cycles. And yeah, it's like deep acceptance of what is inside of my reality.
I could talk about this for hours. I used to do death meditations every morning because that
Mm,
would just transform my day. Because it's like, am I living the life? Like if I die tomorrow, before my grandma passed last year,
mm,
she said, "Have a good life, Ari. You deserve it." That was her last words to me. It was like out of a movie. And so I try to live every day like, am I living a good life? Thinking about what is a good life to me and not just living a good life based on how society has told me this is a good life or like your culture or your family or
yeah.
even your friends. Trying to figure out for yourself what that is. So I'm curious before we wrap up, what is a good life? What is a good life for you? And what would be the pinnacle of existence?
A good life for me, and this is such a good question. What is a good life for me? Okay.
Tough, I know.
I can react, but I'm going to respond. I think a good life for me is just a life that exists in an instant. And the more we can live instants and as fully experiences all around it, the better we will feel. And I think I will reframe your question, right? Because it comes with even a tendency of thinking there's good and bad. Life is how it is. And if we have the opportunity and the capacity of living a human life, well, we just want the good part of it. Then we won't learn. Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting a little teary. That's great. Wow, it's true. It's time to live a good, or just live.
Just
Just
live,
live a Thursday.
live
Just
and
live a
let
Thursday.
die.
Live and let die.
Just
Thank you
that.
so much for speaking with us, Valeria.
Thank you
It was
so much
wonderful
for calling me. It
talking
was
to
such a
you.
pleasure.
How can people find you?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram as Val Itriago, which is VAL and my last name. Also, I have my website over there, my company, and my method is the name of the event I'm doing in New York City. I'm hosting sober psychedelic sound immersions, women's circles, and a lot of like stuff. And private coaching is also on my website, on my Instagram. So yeah, that's how you can find me.
All right. Well,
I take your good wishes into my heart, and I'm gonna have a good day, Eric.
have whatever a day you want to have.
Thank you so much, my
Oh.
dear.